Yo guys, what is up? Mike's in a Borderlands 4 video, and today we're going to be going over my Vexecutioner build. Now, the goal of this build was to make a nerf-proof Vex, basically. The bleed build with the knife is incredibly powerful, but I don't think it's going to be around for all that long. So this setup achieves a ton of damage. It bosses and mobs, but it does not rely on the bleed stacking on Vex. It's still a gun build, and there's a lot of cool things going on under the hood. I hope you guys enjoy the breakdown. Let's get right into it. So let's do an overview of the build, and then we'll get into the specifics. So the whole idea of this build is that we're stacking kill skills. We're pairing Mortal Terror, which gives us a chance to activate kill skills when critically hitting, with basically all of her most powerful kill skills. This allows us to proc our kill skills, which normally only activate when we're mobbing on bosses for massive damage buffs. We're pairing that with Grave Power, which gives us increased max stacks of all of our kill skills for basically double the value of all of the points that we're spending. So, for example, we have Grave Implements, which gives us 3 stacks of 20% gun damage for 60% gun damage, but now with Grave Power, now this is 120% gun damage, and we can proc that just while we're shooting our guns at enemies. We're also going to be using things like Grave Sights to gain massive increases to our critical hit damage. We can proc kill skills to heal us for our health. We're proccing tons of fire rate. We've got all damage dealt from Grave Fiends. We can get some action skill cooldown. Basically, we're just using fast firing guns to proc kill skills to supercharge our damage. And then we also have things like Witchy Trigger Finger that whenever we're shooting, if we hit an enemy with Incarnate and it's like Eldritch Blast, we'll refill our ammo. So we're stacking tons of fire rate, tons of gun damage, and just laying out damage on enemies while also staying very healthy and very survivable. Now, the biggest issue that I've been working on solving for this build for literally the past 3 days is ammo. On this setup, we can achieve over 100% fire rate, which is really, really stupid, but our guns were constantly running out of ammo. I was going through sections just basically having to use one gun where I'd lose all of my ammo on a few groups of enemies and then have to switch, constantly be looting, and it was a real big issue. So it's really important to understand how we're treating the ammo issue and some of the changes that we've had to make to correct that. So the first thing to mention is Trick Shot. This reads that critical hits have a 50% chance at a 3 out of 3 bonus to refill 1 ammo to the currently equipped gun's magazine. Now, this is free ammo. There's a lot of sources of ammo in the game that aren't actually free ammo. They take from your reserves. For example, there is the Hoarder Shield on kill, 50% chance to spawn an ammo booster that instantly refills your gun. This is just ammo from your reserves, so you just run out of ammo faster using this. There's also things in the red tree that we tested, like Icy Attunement. This gives you ammo restoration. However, this is also just from your reserves. So many things that we were trying were basically just deleting all of our ammo, and it was a real big issue. And so the adjustment that we've made, and the reason you're seeing us use Dead Ringer for mobbing, is because of Trick Shot. Now, Trick Shot gives us a 50% chance to refill 1 ammo, which is free ammo, but this is only on crits, right? And, for example, if we are going to be using Target Prescience, this only gives us 15% gun critical hit chance. So we've got a 15% chance on crit on non-body shots, or on body shots, and then a 50% chance of that. So it's really not all that much ammo restore. So basically what we've done is for mobbing, we're going to be using the Dead Ringers with the Coven node, which whenever we spawn a Spectre, we and our minions gain critical hit chance. This is 30% crit chance with 3 Spectres, and these Spectres, while we're not relying them on for damage, they're going to give us 30% crit chance. Target Prescience gives us another 15%, so now we're at 45% crit chance, and we're going to be trying to use guns with Jacob's Parts with the node For Piercer, guns with Jacob's license parts have a 20% chance to grant a critical hit. This gives us 65% crit chance while we're mobbing, which is fantastic for ammo restoration with trick shot. We can pair that with guns like the Lucian's Call, which critical hits refill up to 2 ammo on the gun's magazine, and guns like the Stray. Anything that fires like additional projectiles without having to cost additional ammo is really, really great because we're basically doubling our odds to get ammo back. So the Stray shoots 2 bullets, but it costs 1 ammo, giving us better ammo restore. Things like the Convergence shoots a bunch of projectiles. It only costs 1 ammo, and we can crit a bunch. We have 65% crit chance. It hits a ton of times. A lot of these weapons we're going to be using for mobbing so that we don't run out of ammo. Now, this doesn't entirely solve the ammo issues. You're still going to want to be looting, but it makes the build way more playable. And then for bossing, we just use Incarnate and Witchy Trigger Finger with Vibe Check so that we can spam out our Ordnance Blast, constantly refilling our weapons, and we're going to be using sticky Torg weapons. The Chaosin and basically any Torg weapon with our setup, we can infinitely stack Torg stickies, which every Torg sticky gets a 3% damage increase, stacking up a ton of damage on bosses to just one-tap them. And we're doing this all without having to use the like penetrator knife, which you still can use on this build. It's just not needed. We're doing a lot of things to basically not have to rely on this. So now let's go over the full skill tree. So we have 1 point into Red Tree, into Grave Sustenance. This gives us restore of our action skill duration while we are bossing. Note that the Reapers or the Specters that we're summoning do not count as action skill duration. They're not tied to anything duration based. So this doesn't do anything for them. They're entirely based off of health loss. However, this will give us, let's say the boss doesn't instantly die with Witchy Trigger Finger, something goes wrong, you have to reload. This just means that while we're shooting, we're going to be proccing and restoring our Incarnate for better uptime. So 1 point into that is very, very nice. Then we're going into Green Tree. Now, some of the decisions that we're making are because Coven only lasts, I mean, it lasts for 20 seconds per minion, but we want to have 3 minions up basically at all times. We want to have this attunement up. So we're going to put 3 points into Guns and Needles, which gives us kill skill, restores Repkit cooldown. Now, as we're shooting, we have Repkit uptime. We basically have infinite Repkit uptime. And with the specialization for now with caffeine, anytime we use a Repkit, we get 25% action skill cooldown. So now we basically have infinite Specters uptime, which gives us permanent 30% crit chance, which is really nice. Grave Sights gives us a ton of crit damage and gun handling, which makes all our guns feel really nice. Grave Implements, tons of gun damage, and Target Prescience for more of that crit chance for trick shot. And Grave Power. This and Bleed, I think, are probably Vex's 2 most powerful nodes in the game. Just really, really strong. Then we've got Drink Full for tons of more fire rate and Mortal Terror so that we have a chance to activate our kill skills when critically hitting enemies. Then we go into Blue Tree. We're using Sanguine Fiends. Whenever we shoot or kill enemies, we can proc health restore. This makes us really tanky, but it also gives us more uptime on our Specters. Specters by default are squishy, so now while we're shooting, we can just constantly be healing them. Grave Assault gives us tons of fire rate. Grave Fiends gives us a ton of all damage dealt, which is really nice. And then I put 2 points into Grave Quickening. Just, this is quality of life points. It is technically more damage to put points into prismatic weaponry, but this alleviates some of the like Repkit spam that you would need to do for upkeep of the Specters while you're mobbing. So this is just really nice quality of life. Note that we are not spec'd into Morning. I was originally spec'd into Morning to get kill skill effectiveness on our kill skills, and I weighted that against speccing into Grave Fiends. Grave Fiends 5 points into this versus 5 points into Morning. Grave Fiends gives us more damage than Morning does. Morning gives us kill skill effectiveness, which is great. It means like we get more crit and more gun. However, it is less damage speccing 5 points into this than 5 points into Grave Fiends. And it's also conditional damage, like we get more crit, but we're not critting 100% of the time. This is just all damage dealt. It's really, really powerful. Now for the guns on this build, you're mainly looking for like Jacob's parted weapons for mobbing, just because the additional crit that you can get from the like legendary roll or just the purple roll where your guns have an additional chance to crit. This will help with ammo sustain a ton, with trick shot. We're also, some of the favorite mobbing weapons are the Stray. The Stray can roll with a Jacob's part. This one did. It is rarer to find. However, this will give us a weapon that shoots multiple bullets per projectile, that can ricochet, gets the benefits, and it's just fantastic for mobbing. Note that this will not do much big damage to a boss. However, it's really, really huge quality of life for mobbing. Other guns, I really like the Lucian's Flank. These, by default, will come with Jacob's parts with Trampled to restore ammo. Note that the Lucian's Flanks aren't the highest DPS weapons. However, they do feel great on this setup. And then anything that fires multiple projectiles, shotguns, is really, really nice. Anything that has the chance to fire additional projectiles so that we have a higher chance to restore ammo without losing as much ammo is really nice. Convergence is a lot of fun. And then for bossing, we're just using the Chaosins. Technically, any Torg sticky weapon would work, but the Chaosins you can farm. They are dedicated drops. These drop from Origo, the Vault Boss, and Terminus range. Note that they do roll a random amount of sticky damage. It can roll from a 2% range to a 4% range. I've yet to find a 4% sticky Chaosin, but if you're rocking a 2% versus like a 4%, you're losing like a large chunk of your damage. So try to find a 3% if you can. I personally haven't found a 4 yet, though. For your Repkit, I'm rocking a triple bypass, mostly for mobbing with some speed. This gives us 3 charges and has a 30% chance to replenish a charge on kill. Note that, like, this can't get procced by our kill skills. However, it will give us a ton of uptime on our Spectres. And then for bossing, I'm typically just using the Warpaint. The Warpaint rolls inherently with 30% fire rate and some movement speed, so this is really nice for bossing. It just ups our fire rate to over 100%. For your Ordnance, you could use literally whatever you want. You could use the Penetrator Knife. This build is stronger with the Penetrator Knife, but we're not using it just because it technically doesn't need it. For your class mod, I'm actually not overly thrilled with our class mod choices. I have yet to find a class mod with points into kill skills. So if you find one, that would probably be best in slot. I've been mainly bouncing between 2 different class mods. The Ultra Teen Witch, when we have maximum health, our lifesteal applies to our shields. When Vex has max shields, her lifesteal applies to our overshield. This is a ton of tankiness. But note that we're also going to be using the Super Soldier, that when our energy shield is full, we get fire rate, movement speed, and ammo regen. So having our shield be full is a huge benefit to us, and so the Teen Witch is basically going to make it so that we never have our shield drained, so we get 100% uptime of the Super Soldier. So that is really nice. For single target damage, it is still technically best to just put on a Scion class mod with points into bleed. Bleeds on this setup with all the projectiles that we're stacking, I was seeing like 100k bleed procs, even though we're not spec'd into it at all. So for bossing, I still will check on like a Scion, but for most content, you could just use the Teen Witch. And then for our shield, has to be the Super Soldier. Once again, the Hoarder just like drains your ammo more than it helps it, which I was pretty frustrated with. And then lastly, for your enhancements, we're mainly rocking the Jacob's enhancements. Anyone that you can get with a chance to grant critical hits is really, really nice. Note that for bossing, the #1 role that you're looking for a bossing enhancement is magazine size. You will blitz through a magazine of a Chaosin with the amount of fire rate that we have. I was mainly using this for bossing. This is gun fire rate, gun crit damage, and gun magazine size with the Jacobs. Note that my Chaosin doesn't have a Jacobs part, so the enhancement doesn't really help me out at all, but magazine size, any sort of SMG magazine size, gun magazine size will help a ton. If you don't have one of these, you might not want to use a 30% fire rate increase because you will blitz through your mag. But note that if you can time your Witchy Trigger Finger cast well, you will be able to sustain your ammo. Basically, anytime that this hits a boss, you're going to get your full mag back. So if you're using this when your mag is full, you're kind of wasting it. But if you can spam this out in rhythm with your mag getting low, even without like a mag size roll, you will be able to sustain it. Just mag size rolls help like make it a little bit more comfortable. For our specializations, we're rocking Riddle You This, which gives us stacking gun damage. This is just more damage for the build. I was rocking Contamination for additional status effect application chance. when we're using the Scion, if we're using that for bossing, we just get really good bleed uptime because we just get way more status effect application chance, which does affect bleed. And then now with caffeine, this is really important. Whenever we get our rep kits back, we get cooldown and we have like 100% uptime on our rep kits. And then technically the best point for this build would probably be the best defense. We get a bunch of extra damage dealt when our health is full. I haven't gotten enough specialization points to get down to this, so we're just going to be using a bullet train for extra gun damage. We are quite speedy with our rep kits that give us speed, plus our super soldier that gives us even more movement speed. So this is just additional gun damage for us. In summary, because that might have been a lot to digest, basically we're using Reapers with Coven to give us tons of crit rate for mobbing, where we're going to be proccing tons of kill skills, healing our minions, and having all of our projectiles bounce around and kill things. For bossing, we use Incarnate with Witchy Trigger Finger, Vibe Check, and Sticky Projectile Stacking to nuke bosses. This build has good survivability. It's a very gun-focused build, so you can kind of pick up whatever you want. However, there are specific guns that really shine on this setup. And overall, it's a ton of fun to play. No, this won't nuke bosses quite as fast as the bugged bleed build. However, it is a good Vex build if you want to try something else and start gearing towards something else. Guys, that is going to do it for the build guide. I hope you enjoyed. I will catch y'all in the next one. Take care. Peace.